Out of the 16 people who took my survey, 15 of you have a female figure in your life who you want to protect. I use female figures because, according to RAINN, 90% of rape victims are female. I'm a woman, I'm a feminist, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I plan to be a mother, and most importantly, I'm a survivor. First, I will highlight what rape culture looks like and why we need to end it. Next, I'll provide options for how to get involved. Third, I'm going to illustrate what the world will look like for our children if we do not end rape culture. And finally, I'll ask you all to do your part to support this cause. $17,700,000. That's the estimated number of women who have been the victims of rape since 1998. 98. Every 98 seconds, an American is sexually assaulted. 8. And every 8 minutes, that victim is a child. 99. That's the percentage of perpetrators of sexual violence who will walk free. 13. The percentage of female rape victims who will commit suicide. Last summer, there was a phrase that was said that perpetrated rape culture like no other. It was a phrase that was said by Brock Turner's father. The phrase was 20 minutes of action. This is the story of Alexandra. She said, "I feel as though I died the day of my rape. I don't identify with that Alexandra. I don't know who she is. I don't remember her laughter. 20 minutes was all it took to take my life. 20 minutes was all it took to strip my soul of my identity. For years, I dove into self-destruct mode. I drank uncontrollably, I began cutting. I dropped out of college because I couldn't handle the school's workload, let alone the stress of running into my rapist on campus. I ruined every friendship I had because I felt it was easier to be alone. I dated men who did not treat me well because I thought I deserved it. I let myself get emotionally raped every day by my rapist. I let him win over and over again. After my last suicide attempt, which was now over 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. I have night terrors and flashbacks. For a long time, I didn't know how to explain this to anyone. How do you tell someone that you sleep next to, "Hey, I may wake up in the middle of the night with panic screaming, but don't worry, I guess I'm all right"? It's not casual coffee conversation by any means. 20 minutes, yet 11 years later, and I'm still affected. Becky Lockwood, the Associate Director for the Center of Women, says that popular culture helped create a mindset where sex is less about intimacy and more about possession. Rape culture is violence to get what they want. And it's not about sex, it's about power. Angie Epifano, a former college student who went public about her own silence amongst survivors. When they try to talk about it, people close off. Wilton, how old is your sister?
18, 14, and 11.
16 to 24. That's the age range when women are 4 times more likely than the rest of the population to be victims of sexual assault and rape. So now that I've told you about the need for change, I'm going to tell you about a solution. First off, let's do away with this boys will be boys attitude. And in turn, let's hold men accountable for how they speak, act, and feel towards women. Everyday activism is the radical notion that that everyone can play a part in challenging rape culture by supporting survivors. As stated by Sarah Trotta, a licensed psychotherapist, we have nothing to lose by supporting a survivor's words, but a survivor has everything to gain by feeling trusted and validated. Even if the details seem confusing, we must stand firm in knowing that their account of sexual assault is rooted in truth. Our world is flawed, and it's imparted its flaws upon us. But we can do better. We can make a change so that our grandchildren can live in a world where we respect each other's right to consent, a world without rape. Now that I've told you about a solution, I'm going to visualize what life is going to be like for our children and grandchildren if we don't end rape culture. Rape culture includes, but is not limited to, sexual harassment, slut-shaming, victim blaming, rape jokes, sexual objectification, entitlement to women's bodies, and the domestic and intimate partner violence. Imagine your daughter growing up in an environment where all of this is normalized. Imagine receiving a phone call from your daughter's elementary school teacher that your 10-year-old daughter is being sent home because of the shirt she's wearing. Now I want you to imagine your daughter's freshman year of college. She goes back to the cute football player's room after the party, but as he starts to take her shirt off, she doesn't want to do it anymore. She's afraid, she's drunk, she tells him to stop. He pins her down until she screams. She ends up escaping and running from the room. Imagine the next morning when she wakes up to a tweet from the football player's best friend calling her a slut. Imagine when the dean of the university doesn't believe her because it's the star football player's word against hers. Now imagine you, her parent, not believing her. Imagine telling her that it's her fault. Can you imagine that? First, I explained what rape culture is and why we need to end it. Next, I provided an option for how to get involved to help end rape culture. Third, I illustrated what the world will look like for our grandchildren and children if we don't end rape culture. And finally, I'm going to be asking you all to do your part to support this cause. Today, I'm not going to be asking for much. Today, I want you to commit to reaching out to a survivor of sexual assault, whether it be in person, over the phone, or through social media, and I want you to tell them one of the following. If you are moved by my speech today, here's a list of more long-term commitments that I'm asking for. Keep your hands to yourself. Stop endorsing rape culture with laughter. Stop endorsing rape culture with silence. Stop catcalling. Stop telling women to smile. Stop pressuring people to have sex. Stop blaming victims. Stop excusing predators. Stop sexualizing young children. Stop teaching girls and women that it's their responsibility to keep themselves from being assaulted. Stop teaching girls and women that their virginity is some kind of prize. Stop slut-shaming. Never, ever use the words asking for it again. Stop teaching girls that other girls are competition. Stop telling little girls that boys who hurt them are actually in love with them. Stop perpetuating double standards. Rules for girls and boys should be the same. Stop telling girls that boys only want one thing. Stop telling women that we need to wear makeup or that we don't. Stop asking us who we're dressed up for. Stop asking women when they're going to get married or whether or not they have a boyfriend. Stop asking women to dumb themselves down or pretend to be less accomplished to get a man. For God's sake, stop sending dick pics, we don't want them. And men, stop being mean because a woman said no. Stop shaming women who don't report their assault immediately. Stop trying to limit Plan B and birth control access, and stop witnessing harassment or sexual assault and not speaking up. So, every year I attend the Amber Rose Empowerment Weekend, where thousands of people across gender and race and age and education gather together to uplift, empower, and enhance the platform of women across the globe. If all the women who have been sexually harassed or assaulted wrote "Me Too" as a status, we might give people a sense of the magnitude of the problem. I want you to go onto your social media and I want you to take a good hard look at those Me Too statuses that you so easily scroll past. I want you to look at each and every one of them and I want you to think about the women in your life. I want you to think about your future daughters and I want you to think about me. Through the Me Too campaign, many who experienced sexual harassment or assault shared their stories, which created a powerful representation of exactly how far-reaching these things are in our society. But there's another side of the message that hasn't gotten much attention. The National Organization for Women has launched the Heal Me Too campaign to raise awareness that women who are raped or sexually assaulted have an extremely high chance of developing PTSD. At a time when so many sexual assault survivors are coming forward to be heard, the goal of this campaign is to give them the resources they need to be healed.